What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Car Mechanic Simulator 2021. As always, if you guys are enjoying this series, make sure you leave a like on the video. It'd be greatly appreciated. In the last episode, we were trying super hard just to find a 1990 Chevrolet Lumina stock car so we could take it around the Daytona International Speedway. Unfortunately, we fell a bit short of that goal and somehow ended up with this 2015 Land Rover Defender 90, which I'm not complaining about at all. Having said that, though, today's game plan is I want to fully restore this thing, and we'll take it around, see what it can actually do. This thing is super low on power. If we take a look at the engine here, factory engine is an inline 4, makes 123 horsepower, next to nothing, right? Most hatchbacks, most like modern day hatchbacks, have more horsepower than this thing. It does have a tremendous amount of torque for its horsepower number, though. I'm assuming that's going to be important in off-roading things, I guess. I'm not a big off-roader, so I have no idea. But to get things started here, we're going to go ahead and first move this vehicle over to Car Lifter A, and we are going to straight away grab the welder. I guess we should probably look at this vehicle's overall stats as well, so you guys can kind of see what the scoopty is on this. So, first of all, if you missed the previous episode where we scooped this thing up, make sure you go back and watch it. Otherwise, some things that I may say today might not make sense. But we have a total frame condition of a 63%, interior's looking about 85, body condition 70, with a global parts condition of 40. So not doing too great in the parts department, but we're going to address that. I'm sure most of that is actually going to be stuff underneath the vehicle. The engine looked fairly clean. Never mind. The engine is most likely the big issue here. I'll be honest, now that I actually look at the thing. But what we're going to do first with the welder is go ahead and 1,400 credits. That's actually fairly cheap, all things considered. But we're going to knock all the years of rust off that thing with our trusty welder. Oh god, I didn't want to move it over there. You know what? It's fine. It can live over there for a few minutes. Let's see. Frame condition now is 100%, ladies and gents. Interior is actually real nice at 85. A cool 85. Not doing too bad. Let's go ahead and move this thing out to, I guess, garage entrance B. Might as well. Doesn't really matter where we put it. But we want to bring it out here so we can at least open up all the doors. Oh, that's cool. I also didn't realize that the trunk sort of door here is purple, much like this front fender up here. Kind of interesting. But I wanted to open up all these doors so we have easier access to the interior here, so we can get this stuff yoinked on out. So we're gonna first mark both of those captain's chairs there. There's no seat in the rear, in the trunk, I guess. There are these little, I don't know, you'd call those benches, I suppose, these carpeted benches. Maybe people could ride back there, I suppose. But let's go ahead and mark that steering wheel as well. Get back in disassembly mode. Come on. I know you can do it. There it is. Oh my, this is frustrating. Oh god, why? There it is. Okay, for a brief moment, we've got them both. Since we've gone ahead and marked those things, we can just quickly come into the store here. Oh, there's not a different option for the seat color. Kind of disappointed with that. The black and white's just not really for me. I was hoping for more of a brown, or even just solid black would have been completely fine. And then we have the factory Land Rover Defender steering wheel. Very vintagey looking wheel for a 2015, I'll admit. I think what Land Rover's trying to do with this thing, although it is, I would consider this a newer vehicle, 2015, but it seems like what they're trying to do is take their old vintagey stuff and almost modernize it, but not completely. Like, it still has its classic charm to it, especially with that 2-spoke steering wheel. But let's go ahead and get this stuff installed now. We'll start with the captain's chairs. Again, those were in actually fairly good condition. We have no real reason to replace all this stuff. Oh, the steering wheel was at 83% as well. But I'm trying to make sure this thing is 100% ready to go. Oh, and it has nice little red accent stitching. Okay, I like the seats a little bit more now that I know that. You can't really see that from far away, but that's a nice look for sure. There we go. All right, interior complete. Let's go ahead and look at the car status now. We have 100% frame and interior. And the next thing we're going to move into is the body of the vehicle. You can see here we have the purple panel, and then another one back there. We've got to change that, but I have no idea what color I want to do yet. So let's go ahead and just get this thing moved over into the paint shop, and we'll start tearing off all these panels here. Actually, let's not put it in the paint shop. Let's put it in the main shop here, just because our tables that we're going to use to repair all these body panels are right here. Doesn't really make sense to, you know, travel to and from these two buildings when we can do everything self-contained right here. So I'm going to go around real quick, and we are going to take off every single thing on the exterior of this vehicle. Every window, every body panel, every fender thing that we can possibly take off. I'm going to try to remove all of it. Oh, there's windows up there too. Okay, that's something I would have forgotten. And like the license plates, it does have a rear bumper. It's sort of just this piece of sheet metal with some mud flaps on the side of it. Oh, and then I don't think there's a window on this side, unless we've already taken that off, or it's one big window. Right window B, left, no, we didn't take that off. Okay, interesting. This thing's been missing a window, and I had no idea until just now. Alrighty, so we are looking a little bit better. I just feel like I'm missing something else. Front bumper. There it is. Okay, we should be solid now. We're going to take all those things into here, and like I said, we're going to go through and just repair everything, make sure everything is ready for paint. But of course, you guys know we can't fix everything on every single vehicle we bring in here. So what we're going to do next is go around and just mark all the little stuff that's non-repairable. Stuff like all the window glass and whatnot. And then we'll buy brand new of all of this stuff, get her installed, and then I think we should be ready for some paint. Oh my god, I was just about to say too, you know what's really interesting about this thing? There's no taillights. Well, there are, but you can't actually remove them. Turns out you can. And just like that, now with all the little piddly bits replaced as well, we have a 100% body condition. So let's lay some layers of paint on this bad boy. It's gonna take me a long time to figure out what color I want to go with on this. I suppose let's look through the factory options first. We have this nice Hunter Forest Green is what I would call that. And then this is the factory color that it's currently painted. I would consider this more of a gray, not really a silver. Silver to me is shinier. Oh, there's a matte black as well. Interesting. That doesn't look terrible. Then we have another, this is almost a teal, but next we have a red, a pretty dark red, kind of metallic red as well. That looks nice. Olive green. Ooh, that's kind of a look right there, like a satin olive green. Not sat in, like no one sat in the paint. It's just, that's what it's called. All right, that's just what it is. Oh, the white, dude. White really hits me in the feels right here. Sort of a stormtrooper-esque look to this thing. Man, that looks hot. And then if we decide to go with black wheels, I think that'll complement things really well. I was tempted to use different rims for this thing, but just because the trunk door already has a factory wheel mounted to it, I feel like we should just go ahead and stick with the factory setup. That's what's going to look the best, in my opinion. And then, of course, we have just a nice jet metallic black. That does look really good. I don't love how the fender flares are a different shade of black, though. I wish we would be able to change that in some way, shape, or form. I think I'm going to end up going with the white here, dude. It's my favorite. It really is. 1,000 buckaroonies, and there she is. Gorgeous, gorgeous unit. This is pretty much exactly like what we were looking at in the car salon or car dealership a few episodes back, and I gotta say, I'm glad that we went with this paint color for sure. But the next item on the to-do list is, of course, to move the vehicle over into the main shop here so we can start picking this thing apart. We've essentially polished a turd now at this point. What we need to do next is go through and basically gut the entire vehicle. We're gonna rip out the engine, we're gonna rip out all the suspension components and everything underneath this thing, and we'll even get some new rims, of course. I know we just talked about that, but I'm excited. I'm excited to see what we can actually do to the engine as well, because as I mentioned, this thing is super low on power, so whatever we can do to make this thing faster, I'm definitely going to make sure we do it. Now, I do also want to say, hopefully you guys are having a very, very fantastic hump day, being Wednesday today, but unfortunately, I do have a little bit of bad news. Some of you are going to be super cool with this. some of you are probably gonna not be super cool with this, but this is the final episode of Car Mechanic Sim 21. Until they release like a really cool DLC that I just can't wait to check out, then I'll probably bring it back for a few episodes, maybe 2 or 3, something along those lines. But it's time. It's time we move on to new horizons. A new game is coming down the pipeline here shortly, so hopefully you guys are excited to see that. I right now have no idea what it's gonna be, but most of the time when we stop playing a specific game, we usually start a similar game shortly after. So I'm thinking we'll probably keep with the car theme as much as we can anyways. But I think I've done enough talk in this episode, dude. I'm gonna hit you guys with a brief little time lapse of the disassembly of everything. See you here in a few minutes. Okay guys, now that we have everything disassembled from both on the vehicle as well as from the original engine, I can definitely tell you guys that I made an oopsie. In the previous episode, I kind of made a joke and I was like, why does this thing sound like a diesel? It's because it is, believe it or not. I did find glow plugs on this engine. There was no other indicator for me to know that it was a diesel. I suppose the engine name probably said something, did it not? Here we go. It says i4DT224. So unless I knew a lot about Land Rover, I don't think I would have known right off the bat that this is a diesel. Typically turbo diesel, so TD, not DT, but it could be diesel turbo. I don't know. Anyways, we've got a whole buttload of parts now in our inventory, so the next thing we get to do is go to our handy little parts workbench here. We're just gonna start clicking on through here, trying to repair anything and everything that we possibly can.
A few moments later.
All right, repairs complete. I tried to salvage, of course, as much as I possibly could, and I wasn't really ignoring the engine components, but I wasn't really trying as hard to make sure we could repair those, just because a lot of this stuff we're going to be purchasing from the performance shop, so we can hopefully get a very, very spicy inline 4 diesel for this bad boy Billy, dude. This freaking unit of a machine out here. But what I want to do next is actually just sort of dry fit all of the suspension components, because I want to make sure we have everything. That way when we go over to the paint shop to get these things powder coated, we don't have to keep making, you know, runs back and forth to and from each building. This way, everything can be done in one fell swoop. See, this is a perfect example of a reason why to dry fit all your stuff before you send it off to paint. This entire list here is all stuff that we have to purchase. So we're gonna go ahead and do that, and then we should be ready for paint. I will say though, even though we spent all that time trying to dry fit everything, I still somehow forgot a brake caliper. And what was the other thing? A leaf spring U-bolt. But I do think the suspension components look so much better with some paint on them. Like, it really does a lot for every single vehicle we do, not just this one in particular. What about fuel pump? Oh, that's 100%. I forgot. Right, we've already replaced a few things in the engine bay as well as the fuel pump. We did that stuff in the previous episode. Now, if I can just get rid of that ghost shadow there, you can see I did go ahead and upgrade the front brakes. Just because if we are going to try to squeeze a little bit more horsepower out of this turbo diesel, I want to make sure we have enough braking force to actually slow the thing down if we, you know, take off at Mach 5 or something. And now that we have the suspension complete, we can come over here and mount up our new rims and tires. The interesting thing about these rims, actually, these are the factory Defender rims here. The interesting thing about them is you can paint them, but oh god, hang on, I gotta do this. I can't talk while I'm doing this for some reason. I mean, I can talk, but I can't continue my train of thought. But for some reason, when you paint these things, it only paints sort of the center cap, the red bit there, just around the Land Rover symbol. I think that's pretty sweet. Hopefully you guys do too. And then we also went with red brake calipers and red springs in the suspension, stuff like that, because of course red means fast. Ooh, girl, dude, with the wheels put back on, this thing's starting to look like a car again. I'm really digging this. Let's take a look at our car's condition. So total parts overall still sitting at 40%, but everything else is sitting at 100. So I'm feeling pretty good about this thing, dude. The next thing I want to work on is the heart for this bad boy. That, of course, being our inline-4 turbo diesel engine that we've completely torn apart. Like, as of right now, it does not exist anymore. So what we need to do now is start reassembling this bad boy. But, of course, we have a bunch of parts that are either good, some are bad, and some we just have to find a complete replacement for, the performance version of the thing. This thing better be the world's fastest turbo diesel ever. Period. It's definitely the prettiest. Oh yeah, kind of forgot the glow plugs. Hang on, let's sort that out real quick. It does have every single performance part imaginable on it. I also swapped out the original fuel pump in the vehicle for a upgraded one as well. Ignition wires. Okay, I think that should be everything now sorted on this engine. We'll go ahead and remove this engine from the stand, take her over to the crane, and get her installed. All right, I gotta take a look at this thing in the engine bay. Dude, look at how nice it looks in there. I went ahead and left a lot of the performance parts unpainted because, to be honest, I think their original chrome looks a lot better than what we could do. And on top of that, all the red accents and stuff are nice little additions. Very welcome additions there. But there's much more to do actually in the engine bay. So I got to go ahead and get all these reservoirs reinstalled, all the brakes and everything, all the fuses reinstalled as well. And then we'll be able to take it over to the dyno, see what sort of horse puppies she's putting out. We've got all the fluids topped up, including the engine oil. For once, I did remember to top up the engine oil, and now we can move it over to the dyno. I almost chose the car wash for some reason. That's not what we're trying to do here. We're trying to see how many horse puppies our turbo diesel has now. So once again, to reiterate here, factory horsepower 123 at 250 foot-pounds of torque. We'll see what she's making now, dude. I'm kind of interested to see how this goes. I really am. Still has the same very ticky valve train. Typical diesel. It doesn't sound fast. Doesn't sound fast at all. 184 horsepower is all, 362 foot-pounds of torque. That hardly went up, dude. That's nothing. That's 61 horsepower is all we made. And we've got, I mean, every single performance part imaginable for this engine installed. It does look really good, though. I mean, look at the chrome exhaust going all the way back, dude. Just incredible. The pinnacle of performance right here. Although it's not making the horsepower numbers that we were hoping for, I do still want to take this thing around the track. Our best lap time here is 1 minute and 41 seconds. We will see if that is going to change here in the Land Rover Defender, but I highly doubt it. See how the body roll is now that we've got all the suspension replaced. A little bit better, but again, it's not a very fast vehicle. It's not designed to be a very fast vehicle or a very nimble vehicle around these corners either. It is not performing super well, dude. I feel like at this point we're usually at like 10-15 seconds. We're about up to 30 seconds already here. Not looking super hot, but the car does sound pretty good, I'll admit. It does. God, the brakes, dude. I upgraded the crap out of those things, and it still hardly brakes. The tone of the vehicle does still sort of sound like it's coming out of a bubble machine, if you guys know what I'm talking about. It's not super pleasant to the ears, but it does sound better than it used to. I'm also seeing something weird's going on with our mirror there on the left. You can see it's like doubled and then tripled and then quadrupled. Ooh, no. Hard on the brakes into that corner, dude. That one gets me every single time. We're officially halfway through this course, though. We're not doing too bad, but ooh, our time is not looking so hot. Minute 23 coming into this next turn here. I don't think we're gonna have to brake hardly at all right here. A little bit maybe on the end. Looking pretty solid. We're already almost at our fastest lap time right about now. We're not really even that close to being finished with the race, dude. We still have this little manji bit here. And then slow way down for the wall we always hit. We have a very hard left. Coming around to do another hairpin turn here to the left. And then we will be across the line, but not our best time. I wasn't expecting to get a very good time. But there it is. 2 minutes and 6 seconds. I'm not going to do a second lap because, I'll be honest, it's not really going to do us a lick of good. But there you guys have it, dude. The Land Rover Defender. Pretty nice car. And now that we've returned back home to our garage, I think that's where we're gonna wind down this episode at for today. But once again, if you guys did enjoy, please leave a like, leave a comment, help support the dream by smashing that subscribe button, and I will see you in the next series. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Peace.